All right. Sounds good.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for joining us. My name is Erica Morgan, and I am the Director of Programs at Dress for Success. And today, during Empower Her, we are talking about the power of mentorship, mentoring future leaders and ourselves. And I am so excited to have Erin Hathaway here with me. Erin, thank you for joining
Yes,
us.
thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So as she said, I'm Erin. My students call me Miss Erin.
Miss Erin.
I'm the executive director of ICE Mentors, which is a mentoring and empowerment organization for youth. We focus on leadership and helping them to understand their purpose.
Awesome. I love
Yes.
that. Well, again, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to chat with me about mentorship, your skills, your wisdom. I'm so excited to just dive in and learn more about mentorship. And it comes at such a great time because Dress for Success just kicked off our 6-month program, Women to Women Mentoring. So I know that some of our mentees and mentors are probably tuned in or will have the opportunity to tune in and just learn more about mentoring from someone else's perspective. So let's dive right
Let's
in.
do it.
All right. So, Erin, how has mentorship impacted your personal and professional growth? And what specific lessons or insights have you gained from your mentors?
Sure. So I've recognized throughout my life, I've always, for the different phases and the generations I've come through, I've always had a woman figure or someone guiding me. So I can think back even to middle school. I've had my Sunday school teachers and dance instructors or teachers that I've gravitated to, just women who were there and present for me that I didn't know at the time were considered a mentor, but just someone who was guiding me through life. When I got to college, I would say that's when I recognized, okay, this relationship is a mentor relationship. My dean at the time when I was in university, she served as my mentor, who then carried her relationship with me through graduation and to marriage, and eventually served on my board for my organization.
Wow.
But what stood out to me was that she forced me and held me accountable. She said, "I'm here, but you need to figure this out yourself." And so, being the baby in the family, there were probably some occurrences in my life where I didn't have to always do things or take initiative. And I recognized that development in me was fostered when I had the opportunity to be a part of campus activities. But it was a challenge when it was like, hey, I'll guide you, but you have to do this yourself. And so that was one of the first lessons I can recall that I learned in a mentor relationship was that accountability, being there and being supportive, but making me do it on my own.
Nice. And making you do it on your own, do you feel like that allowed you to grow?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that sometimes when things are handed to you, you don't have any equity or ownership and
Yes.
no self accountability to it. And so
Yeah.
when I was taught to learn how to figure it out myself, personally, it was challenging. Personally, I had to grow. And then professionally, I had a willpower and a spirit to figure it out.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur
Yes,
and someone who is like gracing my own space, like that is a essential skill,
it
how to
is.
figure it out. And so I feel like my mentorship relationships taught me that.
Oh, I love that. I think it's important because if it's always handed to you, if someone's always doing it for you, when that person goes away, then what?
Mhm.
Right? So you need
Mhm.
to be able to figure it out on your own and do it
Mhm.
yourself. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And can you share a moment when a mentor's guidance helped you navigate a challenging situation or decision in your career?
That's a good question. I wouldn't say I have a specific moment. I will say that when I got into my professional career, I didn't recognize I was doing it, but I was positioning and putting myself in relationships and with people that were directly steps ahead of me to get me where I wanted to be.
Mm.
And so my first career after college, I worked for a woman of color entrepreneur. And that path exposed me to a woman who can make things happen. And so though her industry wasn't my trajectory of where I wanted to go, she was a model of entrepreneurship for me. When I recognized where I wanted to go, I put myself in those places. And so when I recognized education and working with youth was my path, I then took myself and my public relations degree and went to a school. I now, and I worked under two women principals. And those women served as mentors for me as well. They didn't know it, but I was literally self-learning and training under them how to be an educator. And then from there, I'm taking my entrepreneurial mentorship relationship, my education mentor relationship, and it just postured me to where I wanted to be. So I wouldn't say challenges. I would just say the paths and the people I chose to connect myself with align the path that I took for my career.
I love that. That just sounded like you were doing purpose work,
Mm-hmm.
preparing you for who you are and where you are
Mm-hmm.
today. I love that. Come on, the people that were mentoring her and they didn't
Didn't even know
know.
it, right?
Yes. And I love the gift of mentorship is accountability. I love that you
Mm-hmm.
said that. We're gonna make sure that's highlighted because that's a thing. And if you are new here or if you are true here, you know that we drop gems during Empower Her. Feel free if you are tuned in to drop a question in the chat or just leave a comment about how mentorship has helped change your life. All right. What qualities or characteristics do you believe are essential for both mentors and mentees to cultivate in order to maximize the benefits of a mentoring relationship?
I feel a mentor has to be confident. I
Mm-hmm.
feel in a lot of spaces, if you are, first of all, mentorship is hand in hand with leadership.
Yeah.
And so I feel a leader and a mentor has to be self confident to be able to look at someone who is a younger individual, to be able to be in a space to mentor them and to look at them as a successor. I think there's a lot of question about gatekeeping and not sharing the wealth and the knowledge. But I think as a leader, when you're self confident with who you are and you understand where you're going, you understand I need a successor. I need to install this to the next generation. I need to have the energy to create innovation to pass it on. So I feel a mentor has to be self-confident with themselves. They're not insecure, of the generation behind them. And I feel a mentee needs to have the self-empowerment they need to learn. Um, there's one space, there's a thing to be in the space to want to take from somebody, but not have an ear to hear. So I feel a mentee needs to have that own will and self-empowerment to learn, to be able to receive what's given to them.
Ah, confidence for our mentors and self empowerment for our mentees. I love that. Come on, Erin. Come on with a word. Come on. Ooh. All right. We lost the papers, but that's all right. Our next question is: in what ways can mentorship foster innovation and creativity among future leaders?
I feel like as a leader, and because I've already tied mentorship with leadership, I feel like as leaders, it's important to always be thinking succession. How is what I'm doing and what I'm creating encouraging people to look for what towards the future? And so, if a leader or a mentor is future forward and leading by example, I feel that the mentees are in a space of understanding passion and purpose from a place of like what's to come, where are we going. I value mentor mentee relationships so much because of just how I've been able to grow individually and how I've been able to see or learn or unlearn. Right. Sometimes the relationships I had haven't always been positive. Right. So I've learned how to take what I need and what I don't need. And so I feel that when a leader and a good leader has a vision for the future of what they're creating, I feel like the mentee has somewhere to go.
I love that. And I love that you said unlearn and that you called out that every relationship hasn't been positive because sometimes we go into these spaces of mentorship and think that, oh, because this person is my mentor, everything is going to be lollipops and gumdrops. It's going to be perfect. And it's not because it's two imperfect people coming together and you have to make it work. And like you said, that confidence for that mentor is super important, and self-awareness and empowerment of the mentee is also important to recognize like this might not be the space for me, and that's okay. What did you learn that you don't want to take away from that space? So I love that you called that out. I love that. All right, it looks like we have some questions and comments from the chat already. So Erin, what inspired you to start an organization focused on mentorship?
That's a good question. So my husband and I do this work together.
Okay.
And at an early age, before we got married, we were working as youth leaders at our church. And I've always been that girl. I have an older sister. I have an amazing older sister and a wonderful mom who were my first mentors. But being a baby sister, having older teenage girls directly ahead of you has always been a thing. Like I wanted to go where she went. I wanted her jewelry. I wanted her clothes. I shared a room with her, but I wanted to do what she wanted. And that's just a natural, I think, thing that girls do.
Yeah.
And so when I got to a certain age where I became a teenager as a young adult, I recognized, oh, there's girls following me. I'm that example now. And I hold that, I take that with pride that someone younger would look at you and feel like they want to follow you. And so it was an organic occurrence that my husband and I had the same passion. We were youth leaders. We started as Sunday school teachers at our church. And so we served together. And then this work kind of branched outside of our church, um, beyond the walls of what was happening. And so we took what we were doing and planted it in schools. And so people would always ask, well, how did it become a business? It didn't. I was just serving. I was serving the girls in my village, in our community, and it birthed the need and the necessity to serve our community. But the girls around me, I was just doing my part and doing what others did for me.
I love that story. I love that you started out as a youth, working with the youth in the church with your now husband.
Okay.
Come through. Purpose work, girl. Purpose work. All right. So you can continue to drop questions in the chat. Feel free to do that. I mean, we're going to keep the party rolling. So, what have you learned that you didn't know before about the importance of mentoring young Black girls?
That's a good question. I think I've always carried with me, as a woman, I always still feel like the inner Black girl is still in me.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, um, what we're creating now is what the Black girl in me needed. So I grew up, I was a very shy girl. I would go places and I would hide behind my mom's skirt. And so, even into college, I tell my students, I say, when I got to college, I didn't know how to show up in the space and be myself. And I lost opportunity because I didn't know how to speak up in the room. And so those first impressions mattered, right? I lost opportunity and experiences because my resting face of insecurity projected me, that she didn't want to be here. And so I value, teaching girls and creating spaces for Black girls to learn how to be themselves in spaces, right? I think, culturally, Black people are always that unspoken that. And so we're teaching, Black girls and youth in general how to be confident, how to come in spaces, whether you're the only Black one there or it's a room full of adults, and be respectful. How do you raise your voice and speak up? And that's something I didn't know how to do. And it took me a while to find my voice. And even into college, it's like, oh, I'm an adult now. I can contribute to this conversation. So I think learning, what I've learned through mentorship, from Black girls is that, I'm also gaining my confidence too. My daughter is maybe my greatest. I mean, I learned so much from her. She holds me accountable, and that's one mentorship daughter relationship where I'm like receiving. She has often, has a desire, or she wants something, or she needs me to advocate for her. And in those spaces where I'm usually reserved, and I'm like, I'm nervous to do that. She's like, Mom, did you do it? Did you say it? And I'm like, oh, I gotta go. I gotta go do this. I gotta go say it because she's expecting me, to call something out or address something on her behalf. And so, learning what I'm also teaching, how to raise your voice and use your voice.
I love that. And kids will make you make you true to your word and hold you accountable. And I love that your daughter is challenging you and allowing you to just step outside of who you thought you were.
Oh yeah.
I love that.
It's
Come on,
uncomfortable.
daughter.
I know. Come on, Bella.
Keep her uncomfortable, Bella. That's how we continue to grow.
Yes.
I love that. All right. So it looks, service sets the atmosphere for opportunity. Yes, 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 yes. All right. How can mentorship contribute to building resilience and adaptability in emerging leaders, particularly in times of change or uncertainty?
I think, I think even through the work we're doing at our organization, mentorship, um, is strongly connected to accountability. So specifically, we have a program called the Heritage Mentoring Program. We have one for boys too. It's called His Time, and we're mentoring Black and Brown youth who are involved with the juvenile court system.
Wow.
And our greatest value add for them is mentorship and consistency, and holding them accountable so that they can build resiliency. I think oftentimes we are that anchor and that bridge that of consistency that youth need in their life. And so that builds resiliency when they know that there is an adult there that is relying on me or expecting me to accomplish something or continuously drilling something in. It builds that resiliency that our youth need. So
I love it. Well, how are they receiving when you hold them accountable?
that's a good question because accountability is a little way like it's a little questionable these days. I think that it's met with a challenge at 1st, right? No one likes to be called out.
Yeah.
No one, it's hard if you aren't comfortable or if you're not accustomed to somebody correcting you. We do meet those challenges with where it's like you can't speak to me that way. Respect is given, where all that. We go through all that. But I think what's valuable with our organization and the youth that we serve is that we're consistent, and we're going to be there. And then we do it with love as well, right? I was working with a student the other day, and we were talking about just her experiences at school, and she was raising her voice, and I'm just listening, and I was, whether I was annoying her or not, I didn't receive it as disrespect. She was being herself, and herself came with a lot of energy and aggression, and she needed to get it out. And we got through the program because even with her emotion changes, because it didn't bother me as a mentor, the space that she was in, I recognized the level of where we are. I didn't take it as disrespect. That's how she knows how to communicate, right? And so I can handle that way of communication. Let's redirect it to where it needs to go.
I can appreciate that you were able to meet her where she was, because oftentimes when someone is yelling at us or they're overly emotional, it's not about us, and like you said, it's something that she needed to let out and release. And so creating that safe space for her to allow her to do that will just strengthen her trust for you. And so I love that.
Oh yeah, because sometimes matching energy is a thing.
It is.
It's a thing. But if you know how to read the room and navigate that as a leader, as a mentor, having that self-confidence to be able, you be a room, you shift the energy, you shift the atmosphere with what you're giving and not what you're receiving. So yeah.
That's right. And it's so important we say it all the time. It's cliche to say, meet them where they are. But in that moment, you did that for her, and that created a safe space, because that's what we really need to do, that is meet people where they are, because it's never about us. Even when it feels like it or is projected to feel like it's about us or towards us, it's not. So keep being great.
Yes.
Keep being great. All right. In what ways can mentorship foster innovation and creativity among future leaders?
So I think as a leader, as we're connecting leadership and mentorship, I think that as a leader, I'm always on the edge trying to figure out what's new. And when I'm even thinking about the work that we do, our business, my family, just my personal life, I'm always future forward, right? I think when you become complacent or gatekeeper, or you have this chair that you stamp, this is my chair, ain't going anywhere. There's nowhere for anyone to look forward to, right? So as a leader, I'm always looking forward to what's ahead of me so that the people behind me can be inspired to go with me.
Come on.
Can't be stagnant.
You cannot be stagnant. I love that. So it looks like we have some questions from the audience. It says, have you created your program to live beyond your leadership? If so, what does that look like?
That's a good question. So, and because I do this work, because my husband and I are both founders, I'm still working on that, but that is something that has been resting with me. I jokingly say this, and I don't mind. I'm 35. We started this. I got married at 23. At 22, we was doing this work. We used to wear these pink hair bows, and it was a thing. Like the girls were like, "Y'all are 16." We thought it was cute when the girls was trying to guess our age because we knew we were so close in age. Being 35, I'm like, no, I love what I do. I love working with kids, but I'm not going to be a forever middle school mentor.
Yeah.
And so we have been thinking about what does it look like. I have a staff of 9, and I have young adults who work for me, and they serve as program coordinators. And they're in position to mentor. We're teaching them how to facilitate, how to be speakers, and with that, that's also training them and mentoring them how to be leaders, right? Because we're teaching a leadership curriculum, so we're teaching them, and that's my succession. How do I build the foundation of an organization that lives beyond me? Running a nonprofit, I know I don't own it. And so we're working hard to build the groundwork so that we can transition on to our next. And our next, him and I are strategizing like, what is that? What is that for us? And we know that ministry is a heavy focus for us. So it will look like the same path. But we are certainly looking at our life trajectory and how do we build an organization that is sustainable, that has a healthy work culture, that has models that live beyond us. And I'm selling and flying. What is it? I'm doing it at the same time. You know what I mean? Like it's happening together.
Okay.
Yeah, it's happening
I
at the same
love
time. Yeah.
that. That was a great question, Erica. Thank you for that. Because I love hearing that you are just thriving, thriving.
Got
Mm.
to.
All right. As someone who has built a career centered centered on pouring into others, what do you do as a leader to fill your cup and care for yourself?
That's a good question.
I
Cause
can't wait to hear this answer.
well that yeah. Me too. um, I'll be honest. That's something that I'm working on. I would say um we've been doing this work for 12 years, and it really we hit a fast bullet in 2019 and through 2020, and I can just tell you the scale of it. I recognize this for myself. This rest is important. um, in 2019, we found out my mother-in-law had cancer, and it was a very progressive cancer that took her in about 2 months, 2 and 3 months. That same year, I also found out I was pregnant. That same year, my husband also became youth pastor, and he started a job where he was formerly working. He's now full-time with the organization. In that year, I recognized that was the greatest, that year was between 19 and 20. We had the most growth in our organization, and it doesn't feel like it stopped. And when I got to the place where I can become aware of how I haven't stopped, had a new baby, the business grew, my husband had a new job and other responsibilities as a youth pastor, um, and I'm caring for kids, right? And all these things are happening at once. There was no space to stop. And I think now that I'm getting to a place of awareness, I feel like I grew up very fast in professionally from 19 till now. And now that I've come to a place of awareness of how I haven't stopped, how this 4-year-old now is no longer a baby, right? This COVID baby he can go do these things on his own now, releasing myself of tasks that I felt like I've had to hold on to. It it can get done without me. I can delegate someone to do this. How can I simplify? So there's been small things that we've done to find rest and peace. We moved, right, to make sure that our school distance was closer to our route, right? We figure out extracurricular activities. How are they in our path so we can simplify time in the car? You know what I mean? How can our work hours be conducive to our kids' schedule so that we can be home for dinner, and we can do things together as a family? So we find these little things here and there where we can make life balance for us. But I've also learned how to go in the house and not feel like I had to cater to my kids all day, and they can go sit down for an hour by themselves, and it's okay. Y'all can watch Paw Patrol for an hour. I don't really like putting them in front of the screen, but let me go lay in my bed, and y'all can do this for an hour while I do this. So yeah.
So what are you gonna do to take care of you this weekend?
Oh, this weekend, after my daughter's birthday, my husband and I will be celebrating our 12-year anniversary.
Yes.
So we are going out of town, and this will be the first. So when you said that, I was like, this is a timely question because this is our first. This is our first time away from our kids. So yes, I'm practicing what I'm preaching right now. We are really turning it off.
That is big.
Turning it off.
Good for you.
For a week. Thank you.
I can't wait to hear how it goes.
And I woke up yesterday and I was like, I felt nervous about it, but I want to see how it goes too. I have 2 meetings I'll take virtually. That's it. Everything else I'm gonna unplug.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Take time for you. Self-care. It's the best care. All right. How can mentorship empower individuals to embrace their unique strengths and leadership styles?
I think you said it earlier. You talked about how mentors should understand that it's not about them.
Mhm.
It's about the one you're mentoring. And I think that I've had relationships where mentorship and the mentee relationship um, was a little self-serving on both sides. I feel like as a mentor, if you're offering yourself as a service to that mentee, I think that your responsibility is to find them, meet them where they are,
Yeah.
and serve them, and then help them to be their best self.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that. Help them be their best self. I love that so much because it's important. That's what the
Mhm.
relationship is about. And what I have found in mentoring is that I go into it thinking I'm going to be pouring into this person and doing all this
Mhm.
great work for her,
Mhm.
and she ends up pouring into me, and
Mhm.
I'm growing and learning from her as well. And I
Mhm.
think that when you are open to also receive and you're not going into it thinking, oh, I'm just gonna make this girl a brand new
Mm-mm.
person. No,
Mm-mm.
no, no.
Mm-mm.
That is not how it works. She usually teaches you at the end.
For sure.
And I love that. I love that.
They typically show you probably what you are lacking or what you need.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Like holding you accountable. Did you do that?
Did you?
Did you call on me? All right.
Yes.
Like, did you
Yes.
call? Did you make that call? Did you
Yeah.
send that email? Did you do the things that you said you were going to do?
Mhm.
You said that you were going to shut down at 8 o'clock today and you weren't going to work
Mhm.
past 8 o'clock. How many
Mhm.
times did you do that this
Mhm.
week? I'll be like, oh, okay, girl,
I
thank you.
know.
Thank you for hearing me first and making sure that I am held accountable. So I love it. All right. Okay, we have more questions in the chat. I recently created and launched a mentorship program with Columbus Young Professionals. What best practices have you learned throughout your journey?
As far as mentorship in our organization, with specifically working with youth, allowing them to have a seat at the table to contribute to what's happening at the organization has been our greatest asset. I think a lot of times adults bring what they feel that others need and not don't allow them to address what they need.
Yeah,
And so the greatest value for us is that we listen to our students. We've created spaces. We've had ambassadors in our organization who have so much to say about the work that we do, and we allow them to contribute to the
yeah,
work that we're doing. But creating space where they are centered and they contribute to what's happening has been more valuable than anything. So we've allowed them to direct what they need. And our programming has been geared around that.
I love that. I love that you said creating the space and hearing them and listening to
Mhm.
what their needs are because that's important. That's
Mhm.
important with how you match and
Mhm.
pair. I think even for us here at Dress for Success and myself, when I'm pairing mentees to mentors, I'm looking at what the mentee's current needs
Mhm.
are, where she wants to be at the end of the
Mhm.
6 month cycle, and where the mentors are and what they've done in their career to get them there. So it's oftentimes at the beginning, people tell me like, Erica, you pair me with this
Mhm.
mentor and
Mhm.
we don't have anything in common. And I'm
Yes.
like,
Yes.
you're basing it off a surface level. You need to get to know them and allow them to get to know you. And at the end of or in the middle, they're like, "Thank you for pushing me through that.
Mhm.
Thank you for telling me that, just try, give it a try because it might not look like how you want it to look or you think it should look, but usually if you are open to it and honest and transparent, it usually works."
And with that, I think also too, it's important. So a lot of our mentorship relationships we do it in group settings
Okay.
so that the relationships can be authentic
Yeah.
and be formed. And so I think, and our organization doesn't really tailor like matchmaking immediately. So we do have a few program coordinators who are assigned to specific youth, but in our program setting, we allow spaces where they can all be, we call it content mentoring, where they can all be mentored
I
together.
love
And
that.
then the relationships can be built amongst all of them so that it can be a little bit more organic.
I love that.
So I find that very useful as well when building mentorship relationships, where creating spaces where women and girls or peer to peer can be in a space together, break that ice together, and build those relationships authentically. Because sometimes there's some cross mentoring happening as well when you allow space for that instead of just pairing someone, with a stranger.
Yeah, I love that. Come on, Erica, with the questions. The best mentor I ever had was where I was going they knew where I was going professionally before I did. I love that. I love that. And I love that you were open to receive the word that they had for you and just the vision and
Mm-hmm.
saw what you weren't seeing at that moment. So I
Mm-hmm.
thank you for that, Alexa. All right. So, Aaron, what role does self-reflection play in the mentorship journey, and how can mentors encourage mentees to reflect on their experiences and growth?
I honestly, on a personal level, self reflection is so important.
Yeah.
Self awareness is so uncomfortable. Where you can get to that place of growth, where you can look at yourself and recognize what you need and what you're lacking and what you're doing, your strengths and your weaknesses. So I feel that self awareness alone, whether you have a mentor or not, is very important to examine yourself. And so I've been able to do that on my own through studying and reading and meditating and praying. Where these layers are like unraveled in front of me, and it's uncomfortable. It's a very uncomfortable space to feel vulnerable with yourself, to learn and recognize, oh, this is where I'm lacking. This is what I'm not good at. I can do better at this, right? Or I said that to someone that was too short. Did you hear the tone in that way that I said that, And so when you can get to that level of maturity where you see your flaws and you can identify your strengths, um I think as a mentor, you're better served, right? Because now I'm sharing and I'm teaching from a place of vulnerability. Like I've done that, I've been there, and it's authentic, and I can relate to you better, and they can trust me because I'm coming from a vulnerable space of self awareness.
Self-awareness,
Mm-hmm.
knowing who you are and
Mm-hmm.
whose you are,
Mm-hmm.
right? All right. How can organizations create a supportive environment that encourages mentorship initiatives and values the transfer of knowledge between generations of leaders?
That is really good.
Thank you, girl.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
When
Take your
you
time.
when
Take
you
your
find the
time.
podcast or the seminar, I'm learning it.
Yeah.
So being an entrepreneur, um, no, but take it even back to what I said. I was just a woman, a girl who was giving back,
Mhm.
doing what was authentic to me, that turned into a business, right? And so I had to very fastly learn nonprofit world and then the training world, and then the HR world, and then the marketing world, and the employee world. And
Yeah.
so all that happened just from me wanting to be in a place of giving back and serving, right? All those other titles and responsibilities were added to me. And so I think now I'm in the place of like leadership. And the basis of our organization is teaching the leadership to middle schoolers, that I'm learning leadership myself, right? And how do I build a culture? I want a culture like Google, right?
I know that's right.
A
Me
company
too.
culture where my staff feels safe, they're supported, and their needs are met because they can be in their best place to give, where their cups are not empty as well. My cup needs to be filled so I can pour out, and their cups need to be filled. And I'm learning that.
Yeah.
And I'm honest, like, because I was learning that I've made mistakes,
Yeah.
as a leader, managing people. I've made mistakes, but I think where we're best postured, my team and our leadership team, where we're best postured is we don't mind owning up to the mistake and then correcting it and fixing it. Um, I'll apologize if I feel like it needs to be corrected or addressed. I'll apologize, and then we figure out how to shift this and make it happen. So I think that respect is important,
Mhm.
and then holding people accountable. And I'm learning that. How do I hold you a little bit more accountable,
Yeah.
so that you can learn in this space? And so that's where we are with our culture.
Good.
Absolutely.
Good. And, what makes a good leader or true leader is recognizing the mistake and owning it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not saying, "Oh, I made this mistake, but I'm not going to apologize to my team, or I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to apologize for the mistake that happened." That's how we learn, that's how we grow, and that's how you create a safe space for your team. Your team will then know like it's okay to make mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
but how do you learn from your mistake? How do
Mm-hmm.
you grow and move forward beyond the mistakes? Because mistakes are going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We are all imperfect people,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So things happen. We are humans. Life be life, and and so
Absolutely.
mistakes are going to happen, but how do you learn and grow and don't make that same mistake? I
Mm-hmm.
tell people all the time the policies and procedures came into place because somebody made a mistake.
That's the truth. Somebody did
Somebody made a
something.
mistake and
Yep.
was like, oh, we need a policy
Oh
on that of
yeah.
how to handle that
Oh
next
yeah.
time. Or something happened, but recognizing that in yourself and being able to say, I messed up,
Mm-hmm.
that is a true leader. So I
Mm-hmm.
commend you for that and
Yeah.
for recognizing that, and just, you said holding people accountability, and so holding people accountable, and that is also true, because sometimes we bring in our friends, or someone that we know very well, we hire them, and then they
Mm-hmm.
think that because we've
Mm-hmm.
hired them in our
Oh yeah.
friendship, like, no, this is business and I still need to hold you accountable
Yes.
for what you are doing in that space, in that moment. So I love that you called those out. So
Yes.
you are doing great
Yeah.
things.
A mentor told me, she said she don't care if it's your friend, how close they are, always put it in writing.
Absolutely.
Always write it down.
If it ain't written down, it didn't
If
happen.
it's not, and you learn from that. You learn from your mistakes.
If
Yes.
it's not written
Write it
down, it
down.
didn't happen. And
Mm-hmm.
so girl, I love
Mm-hmm.
it. I love it. I love it. All right. Service is a catalyst of growth and change. So we want to highlight that. Thank you for saying that, because it is true. Now, you said you wanted to be like, Google, and you wanted your staff to feel safe. What are some things right now that you are doing to just allow your team to know that you love them and that you rock with them and that you support them and that this is a safe space?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I you ask these questions and I think of so many things how I compare it together. So the first thing I'll add to what I'll answer this is when I first had my daughter, um, my husband, I would say I need rest, and I would say, can you go put her to bed? But as he was putting her to bed, I had to enforce my technique on him. I felt like he not doing it the way you got to hold the bottle like this and you got to rock her at this speed. And I read this article that said, let this parent.
Yeah.
You can give your advice, but they are also responsible and they are a parent,
Mm-hmm.
and let him figure it out how he needs to do it so that you can find your rest. The baby's not going to die.
Yeah.
And I feel like in this space now, what I'm learning, my business is my baby, right? Like I created, made it up, like from my house, from my heart, right? From what I felt like I was called to give. But when I got to the place where people needed to be in place to be able to, implement what's happening, I had to detach myself from the having my hand on everything. And so I'm in a place now where we're really training and trying to make successors, mentor, so that they can have that same ownership and excel in the work that we've created. So that's a boundary I'm creating, right? Releasing that control so that they can thrive in the work as well, and they can excel and be experts at it. We also create a healthy environment by our work hours. We have a very short day. We work. I don't even want to say. we
Love listening.
we have shorter working hours. Because life is real and there are responsibilities because we work with people and their lives. We can't take away that the people who are working have lives as well.
Yes.
Right. And so we're mindful of the hours that we spend because we have evening programs and we have weekend programs. So we supplement a lot of the time that we do take with our day-to-day time. So we have shorter working hours so they can take care of their responsibilities, get their children or whatever they're doing. If they're still in school, they can take care of their responsibilities. And then we have remote Fridays so that you can decompress and, work from your bed and relax and do what you have to do laundry at the same time.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Erica, I don't know if that's what you was looking for, but I love that. I love a good remote Friday. Let me make a mental note. I work from home on Fridays already.
Okay. Yeah.
But everybody can.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. All right. Do you offer any supplemental recommendations for your programs, such as books, podcasts, etc.?
Not yet.
Okay.
Good question. Not yet.
That is a good question.
Yeah.
Erica, through with the
Yes.
questions. Keep them coming. All right. So we have another question from the audience. She is limitless. What does this statement mean to you?
You know, one the first job I had out of college, I worked for a black woman entrepreneur, and that was actually being employed by her was actually my first time on an airplane with her
Okay.
company. We traveled to Texas, and that was my first time away from my family,
Mm.
my first flight, and doing something for a corporation. And under that time period of me being employed there, I watched a black woman create and then sit down and have conversations and make stuff happen. And so when I think about limitless, I think that, and even with the work that I do, I don't think there's nothing I can't obtain.
Mm.
I taught myself how to Google, right? Get on the internet, research it, YouTube it. There's nothing that if I desire or God has put in my path, I can't have.
Mm.
And so that's what limitless means to me because I watched it. Right, there was a mentor, there was someone in front of me who I saw do it, and so now I have the perspective that I can do it as well. And I hope that that's what the young women and girls behind me, they feel they have that same experience with me. I have a girl who has been in our program. She's in the 5th grade. She's a senior now, and before we got our youth center, I was telling her, I was like, I'm gonna get us a space. We're gonna have our programs in our own space. And I remember telling her, and she remembers me telling her. And then we sit in our space. He goes, Miss Erin, remember when you said?
Oh.
And she's like, and she says it out of a place of being proud of me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I know, girl, I did it, right? I was like, we did it. And then I said, I told her, because I spoke it. I felt like our conversation that she and I had was manifesting what I needed into existence. And so we were sitting in another facility. I took her to a conference, and I said, "You see this building?" I was like, "We need a space like this." And she believes, like the way she looked at me, she's like, she believes that I can do it.
Wow.
And that's what limitless is. And I believe I can do it because she, the way she's looking at me, like, it's that expectation, And so I've seen someone do something without limits, There was no like, oh, we just can't do that. It was like, figure it out,
Yes.
you
Come
know?
on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She is limitless.
Yeah.
She is. I love that. All right. Listen, this is good. We can talk all day, but we're not. We're not gonna talk all day. We gonna wrap it up here. So how can mentorship help bridge generational gaps and facilitate the transfer of institutional knowledge within organizations?
Yeah. So on our team, we have it's definitely intergenerational, and even for myself too. I'm not the oldest at our company, and that's for me, right?
Mhm.
I value wisdom.
Me too.
I read Proverbs because it's a book full of wisdom,
Yeah.
right? And I've always admired older women, so I can just soak up like the truth. Because sometimes my ideas are not always the best. And so I think that that's safe. We created a space where, I pull on, the ones and leaders who are older than me and even our board. Am I making the best decision? Especially when it comes to the ones who are younger than me, right? Was this said correctly so that they can receive and have an ear as well? It's one thing to correct somebody and hold somebody accountable, and there's a way to do it, right? Because I can tell you the truth all day, but it's the way it's said and how you say it. And so that's something that even personally I'm working on, right? How do we say this the right way so that you can receive? And I think that goes back to, something I already answered earlier about respect, and then learning and within leadership, how is this conveyed? How is this communicated? How is this put in place so it can be received across the generations? Because I think we all speak different languages.
Yeah.
There's a different understanding and there's a different experience. There's a group of young people coming behind us who were born in 2000. You know that? And they're 24.
Yeah.
And they're working with us. That's crazy.
In 2000. Why did you
2000.
we had to process.
I work
But
with
it's the
people who were
truth.
born in
It's
2000.
the truth. It's the truth.
Mhm.
And like you said, respect and how you communicate it is so important
Mhm.
because you can get your message across and
Mhm.
still be respectful.
Mhm.
And so I think that that's very important.
Mhm. And that's Black women.
Yeah.
You want to go there real quick?
We can.
Okay.
Go
Like
ahead.
even that as Black women, as leaders,
Yeah.
how we show up in spaces and be authentic. I think
Absolutely.
sometimes we're misinterpreted. Our
Mhm.
passion and the
Yeah.
way we deliver our tone is a little bit more challenged than others. But I think being authentic and true to who you are, um, and genuine helps carries you
That's the
to what
truth.
needs to be done in leadership.
That's the truth. And we are oftentimes described as angry
Mhm.
when we're just passionate.
Mhm.
You know, when I feel really strong about something,
Mhm.
it comes out and I'm never
I'm
angry.
not mad.
I'm not mad,
I'm just
but
trying to
I'm
tell you.
passionate. And I
Yeah.
want you to know, like, I love tacos. If that's
Yeah.
what it is, if that's what I'm talking
Yes.
about, or, you know, whatever it is, my
Mhm.
family, I'm not
Mhm.
upset, but I'm just expressing how I'm expressing, but I'm still respectful and I'm
Mhm.
still mindful of who I'm communicating with.
Mhm.
And don't ever label me as angry
Mm-mm.
because I'm not.
I'm not
I'm
angry.
not.
You're not angry, girl.
I'm not angry. I'm the softest side of heaven. All right. Do you consider your programs as your legacy, or what legacy do you want to leave? Woo! Mm,
That's a good question.
marinate on it.
Yeah. You know, I live in the present with my work.
Okay.
And when I don't sit and ponder on my legacy because I know that it's not invalid to think about your
Mhm.
legacy, but I'm just so passionate of what God has called me to do.
Yeah.
My legacy more personally is related to my children
Okay.
and their children. Um, if I can raise them to be who they are called to be,
Mhm.
and they have a healthy family, and the generations under me in my bloodline is
Yes.
doing what they were called to do, that's more legacy for me. Um, my business will live beyond my husband and I because I'm
Yeah.
going to do the work, um, to build the foundation so that it can be carried on, with the vision that we've tailored it to be. But um, I don't think about that because it's more important that the people that I brought into this world are productive citizens,
Mhm.
and they're their best. Like I don't, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what's more important to me.
It goes back to just you are doing purpose
Mhm.
work,
Mhm.
servant
Mhm.
leader, and
Because
serving.
it's one thing to be someone who has touched so many children in our city, and my own children are on the wrong path.
That's hard.
And I've seen that. I've seen
Yeah.
leaders and religious leaders
Yeah.
who have a beautiful church, and I don't know where their children are or what
Yeah.
their children are doing.
Yeah.
And I think that my family speaks for me and my fruit. And I know kids make their own routes and their own decisions, but
Yeah.
I speak over them now that they will be in the path that they need to be in life.
Mhm.
And that's going to be my testimony and the fruit that all the seeds and the kids we've touched. If my kids are where they are supposed to be in life, that's my legacy.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so important.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Great question, Erica. We could end right there, but we not. We got one more question. As mentors, how do you ensure that you continue to learn and grow from your mentees? And how has mentoring others impacted your development as a leader?
So personally, I put myself through my own university of like
Okay.
just self learning in general. Like I'm a forever student.
Yeah.
When it comes to the mentor relationships, kids are always going to be honest with you. They don't like this, and you know, and
Mhm.
I sometimes I'm very humbled, by it because, just this week, um, we had a program, and we were preparing the presentation, and I missed an opportunity to deliver something a certain way.
Mhm.
And the student will call it out and say, "Hey, I don't know I don't recognize this. What is this?" And when you think you're giving, right, and you think you're giving of a place of like, you're going to receive this, you need this. But the receiver is like, nah, that didn't hit.
Mhm.
And being humble enough to hear, like, okay, how could I have done that better? How can I acknowledge in this space, this environment that I created, this message that was delivered? How did this tone or this go over wrong or not? And so being able to hear and receive and be humbled by it and learn and grow, that's the space I'm in.
Okay.
We know we're not going to hit the nail all the time,
Yeah.
right? But as a leader and as a mentor, um, really being able to hear. I even as introverted as I am a quick person to speak, and so learning that patience especially in the room with other people, so that my ideas are not the only ones that's filtering a room, right? The others in the room can contribute and pour into what needs to happen in the space.
Wonderful. I love it. How does that feel?
Good.
That was good to you.
Yes, that's good.
All right. If you could leave the audience with one thing, what would it be?
If I can leave the audience with one thing, I would say diligence. The word diligence.
Okay.
I think that is what has carried me as a professional, as a mother, as an entrepreneur. Knowing who I am and being consistent with that.
I love it. Diligence. Knowing who I am and being consistent with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important to know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know who you are today, or you're still trying to figure it out, take time. Take time today, this weekend, and just spend some time with yourself. Spend some time with yourself and know who you are and own it. And own it. Someone
Yes.
said, great interview. So
Yes,
proud
that's
of
my
you.
mentor. That's one of my mentors.
Come on, mentor.
Yes,
Thank you
yes,
for showing
yes.
up.
I love that.
I love
Yes,
it. That's
yes.
awesome. Well, Erin, I truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with me today to talk about the power of mentorship. It was impactful, it was empowering. And I hope that those that have tuned in and will tune in later can just walk away knowing who they are and whose they are. Again, my name is Erica Morgan. I am the Director of Programs at Dress for Success. And we look forward to you tuning in every month with us right here on both our YouTube and Facebook pages at 11:30 every second Thursday of the month. I apologize. So we'll see you again next month. Have a great day. And if you are following us on our social media, you know that our Fab Sale is coming up on May 18th, 17th, and 18th, and our annual fundraiser, Dine, Drink, Dress, on June 12th. I look forward to seeing you at both spaces. Have a great day.